Hello, everybody. It's Amy and Jim
Yep.
from Amy Sews, Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt, and Jim also teaches at.
The original Sew and Quilt Expo,
And the next one is
Novi, Michigan, next week.
Novi next week. I'm not going to have Jim next week. I'm not going to have Zach next week. I know it's brutal.
You can come with us.
No, I'm good. Hello, everybody. So make it Monday today. Yep. It's chilly here today in Western Pennsylvania, and we're going to talk about bias tape. We're going to talk about making bias tape, right? What else are we doing with it?
And the differences in them and stuff, because I was even checking out like how it seems like, I don't know if you noticed it, but it seems like when you buy it packaged, the fabric's thinner than if you make it with the fabric you get at Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt.
I know. So we'll start with that. I'm not a huge fan of the purchased bias tape, right, in the packages. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's never the right color. It's never the right width. It's never the thing. And so I'm resolved to make my own.
Yeah. I like the basic colors for if I'm doing a Hong Kong finish because it is thinner fabric.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Do you wash it? Do you pre-wash it?
No. Should I?
I pre-soak mine in hot water, cardboard and all. I put in really hot water, and then I'll just hang it up. And then when it's damp, I'll iron it.
And that would come in handy for red if it was you're afraid of it bleeding.
Bleed.
Yeah, but a lot of these are doesn't really say what
I don't know. The Wrights is a good quality.
It's an excellent quality, and it's also a polyester cotton blend. So I don't think we're going to get that much shrinking.
I'll say that's just me being cautious.
But I guess it pays to read the label.
It's a novel idea. Hello, Jeanette. Hi, Fran. Hi, Nancy from sunny Georgia. Fran, better known as Mrs. Beasley. Hi, Miss Bonnie. All right, James, why don't you just... I
got a question, Dorothy, too, because on the bias tape, they got like single fold and double fold and extra wide. And what's the difference? Well, single fold is the fabric's been folded once.
You can open these.
Well, we got some other ones open, too.
You got some open, okay.
Yeah. So it's been opened once. So basically, the fabric strip was cut. Let's say that one was probably 1.25 inches. Oh, and then the ends were folded in an equal amount.
I bet that's an inch.
So that's probably like 1 inch, and then 2/4 inch.
1/8 inch, yeah.
Yeah, and then folded in like 1/4 inch.
Yeah, so it's just one layer with the raw edges folded to the center.
So if you were going to do, let's say, a stained glass quilt or something, you would just lay that on top and then edge stitch the sides of the tape down. And then the wide single fold is just wider, and it's the same thing with the edges fold under 1/4 inch. And then double fold means after they folded it once, they folded it again in half. But it's not folded perfectly in half.
So do we have one we can open?
Yeah.
We'll open one. So while Jim's opening that, we'll have to ask Ed if we can get our hands on the video. Way back in my previous life, I had online sewing classes called sewinform.com, and I did a beautiful ruler cover using bias tape to make a tulip and leaves.
Oh.
We could probably post that as a freebie. Yeah.
So here you have it when you open it up.
So now this is 2 folds instead of 1. So now when you fold it like this, it's twice as thick.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is perfectly fine to use. Like this would be a cute accent, like on the edge of a ruffle or, edge of your curtains, if you want to use it for like hem tape, so to speak, something to give it a little bit of
weight. It looks good on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not folded equally down the center.
Oh, that's right. It's offset.
Yeah. And that's so if you were going to, let's say, bind a quilt, the one that's the shorter one, you'll open that up and then sew that to your...
Kind of hold it up.
You'll open it up and you'll sew this right in the well of that fold. So you'd sew it in there. And then when you wrap it around and you go to the opposite side, the one that's a little wider will be a little past the stitching. So if you want to stitch in the ditch, it'll catch it.
Right. So the back piece should be the wider.
Yeah.
Nothing else that helps with bulk, but helps when you stitch on that edge.
Yeah.
You're going to catch it. So that's very good thinking.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Everybody's popping on. I forgot to send a reminder text today. I know. I think you guys are covered in snow in Colorado.
Hi, Elaine.
I know. Miss Elaine. She's from Washington, PA.
Hi, Janet.
One of my favorite places is down in Farmington, which is by Washington, is Nemacolin. I can't help it. If you're ever this way and want a luxurious retreat,
We should do a GoFundMe page for you for Nemacolin.
Yes, because I think it's like $800 a night to stay there.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's like $400 for a massage. So, anybody want to send nickels, throw nickels through the screen to convince Ed. I'm Victoria.
And then we have
Vicky.
a groupie from Lakeland,
Florida. Oh, hello.
Hi, Deborah.
I'm glad you guys joined us today. All right, Jim. So what's
Okay.
our next step? We're talking about, for those of you just hopping on, we're talking about bias tape today, the difference between single fold, double fold, the different widths.
And the weights, and this was pre-made, but what if
Right.
we want to make our own?
Make our own.
So you can, and of course you're going to either cut it, well, if you're going to do bias, you have to do it on the bias.
Which is 45 degrees to straight a grain.
Right.
Right. I have a couple of bias cutting videos out there too.
Yeah.
Maybe I dig them out. And
We
get
need
them
to dig
posted.
them up. Yeah.
Okay.
The extra stuff from Make It Monday.
Yeah.
And then there's also, if you do it on grain, it's fine, but you can't turn a corner as well. So
Right.
if you're doing a curve, you that's the benefits between bias and on grain, that it does turn the corner so much better.
I do. But and this is a big debate in the quilt world, I like a bias on my quilt because if you just have single fabric, right? Single fabric, right? And you have the warp and the weft. So
Mhm.
when you fold on grain, this only has one set of threads. If you cut it on the bias, then when you fold it, now you have two sets of threads. So the edge doesn't wear out as fast as cutting it on the grain. But so many people do not like to cut bias tape, do not like to make bias tape. Everybody goes for that straight of grain. If it's a table runner, I'm okay. Then there's no shame here, but I'm just saying if I'm doing a quilt that I want to last, I use bias on the edge.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Okay.
You're welcome.
But I got kind of a little shortcut. And if you want to make your own tape, whether it's bias or on grain, and you cut it a width of your fabric like I did here, and you want to determine how wide you want your tape. And when you bring the two ends together, you're going to offset it by the width of your cutting width.
So if it's a 2-inch spy strip, it's an offset by 2
Right,
inches.
because then it will overlap on the other side 2 inches.
Yeah, I'll find that video. We'll get it posted. But
Okay.
but yes, everybody gets confused. Lori says team bias all the way. I agree. Bonnie Reedy says I'm right, and I want y'all to take note of that. I'm right. Bonnie says
She's
I'm
right. Okay. Mark this date on your calendar.
On
It
the
may not happen for a while again.
Somebody agreed with me.
And then you would put it on your ironing board with your rotary mat or like a mini mat, and then you would cut it and keep rotating it around on your, that was the way I was shown years ago
Right.
on an ironing board, but we kind of got a speed method too.
We got a speed method. And so let's speed it up, Jim. How we're going to cut these strips.
And we're going to do it on our serger.
Yay, our serger.
So we're going to use, now we have a power cutter.
There we
And
go.
if you're looking for that perfect Christmas gift, or you want to explain to that significant other why you need a power tool, you could
This
say
is
you
it.
need a power cutter.
Power cutter.
And basically there's no needle. So I took all my needles out because why put the wear on them?
Yeah.
And there's no thread in the serger. So it's completely unthreaded. There's nothing in it. All I have is my blade engaged, and I have my seam guide on it because I'm going to use this as a cutting guide. And I took the little
Free
adapter
arm.
off. So I'm using my free arm now. So that way I can sew in a circle. My foot's up right now. And I'm just going to slip it over the free arm.
So you would have had this marked, right, Jim? Most people teach to draw the lines,
Yeah.
2.5 or 2 inch line. So you would have a line to follow. Jim
Yeah.
is Jim, so he don't need no stinking line. So
Ouch. Love you too, Amy.
but when you're that good, Jim, it's not, some of us need a little extra help.
Well, yeah, so you
Right.
could mark it. And I find for me, if I mark it, sometimes my markings aren't accurate all the time
Right. All right.
because you get tired of marking.
All right.
So this way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look right here where this edge of this cut fabric is looking right here. And I'm just going to go and cut. Here we go.
Let's see, the door wasn't shut.
Yeah, the door would, yeah, there we go. So now it's all shut and it's just going straight in.
So because he did that offset, if you don't do the offset, you will have calamari rings. You will just have
Yes.
rings of bias, and then you get mad and you cut them apart and sew them together traditionally.
Yep.
But this is continuous bias, right? So this
Yep.
is when you offset however wide your strips are. And and you will know if your serger needs new blades at this point in the game.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
it won't be neat and clean.
Exactly. So,
And just keep sewing in a circle.
yes.
And you go as fast as you comfortably feel.
Yeah, but the seam guide is the key here because you're not marked. If you are marked, then you follow your little line.
Right. And the way where you want to look all the time is right here, where that fabric is going in. That's where I'm looking at. And you got,
Jeanette says she always knew you were a genius.
thank you, Jeanette. That's going to cost me. But this way, if you're not comfortable with your rotary cutter, you know, you're afraid of maybe cutting yourself by it, or, you know, because you only have the width of your ironing board to work with.
Right. And usually when it's continuous like that, usually it's a scissor project.
Yeah.
Right. Because you got to get in there. So I think at one time I had a challenge. I took an 18-inch square and I got 108 inches of bias tape out of it. But there was a lot of seams, right? So you have to consider that. But when I make bias, I'll take, because I use squares, I'll take like a 45-inch square and I will make that all bias. And I roll it up and I have a jug and I put everything in there because I think there's nothing more perfect than a bias stripe for a binding. I love to finish things with stripes or polka dots. So to me, like a black and white check is a neutral. So I keep all that. So when you're doing pot holders and you're doing table runners or you're doing a wallet and that edge needs finished, you have all those pieces. You can just grab one.
Nice.
Oh, my friend Joanne's here. Let's bring her on. Hi, Joanne. Joanne has a wonderful blog. It's called Let's Go Sew with Joanne Banco. You can check her out on our website. If you want to put a link in, Joanne, please do. She's so talented. I just love her. She's one of the nicest people in this business. Not the people in this business aren't nice, but she's one of the nicest people in this business, which I love.
And since you mentioned seam, thank you for that. When you're going to seam up your fabric to make your tube, to make your continuous bias strip, shorten your stitch length, because you can't go and, like, say, tie on and tie off the beginning and the end, because you're going to sew in a long strip. So I find if you shorten the stitch, like I went down to stitch like to 1.5, so it's really tight, and there's less likely chance of the stitching coming out after you slice it. Because nothing worse than having like maybe normal stitch length, you got everything cut, and as you're working with it, the seams come apart. So this way it'll protect it from coming apart.
Perfect. So are you ready for me to show how to fold?
Yeah, how do you fold it?
All right, let's head over that direction.
Okay.
You gotta switch me.
I'll switch you.
You switch me. Don't sit down. I just moved your chair.
That's okay.
All right. So there's a couple ways. So we have this whole set. Now, some of you in the serger, some of you who get the Power Serger subscription box, got a set of these in your box, right? And then it comes with a bunch of these twin pins, which are 2 pins on one shaft, which I love these, especially if you piece intersections on quilt pieces and things like that. There's 10 of them here, and they come in every different size. And you take your bias strip and you fold it. Right, so that's in the center. You take your iron. Hopefully this is hot. And you're just going to start to pull. It's hard to do this one-handed. Let me just do it without the iron. You get the idea. You would be ironing, and as you pull it, it keeps your folds perfectly folded. So as you iron and go, I need to hold this piece down. Anyhow, so you can see how cool that are. So these are what, $4.99, Jim, right? We decided. I have a bunch of them left over from the box. I think there's 30 or 40 of them. I'd like to get rid of them. But there's one other way, if you don't have any fancy bias folders like this, by using just pins. And this may take me a minute. So this is a wool mat I'm working on, and it really can be a game changer. So I'm just poking it in so the tip comes in and out. Gray pins on a gray mat. That's not real spiffy. And so if I wanted to fold this bias tape, just using the pins on my ironing board, I'm going to make a little carriage for it. Like a little harness, or what do you want to call it? Like a jig, maybe, right? If we were woodworking, we'd be doing a jig. And so I just took 2 pins, to hold it. So now when I pull it, it stays. I pin my fabric, ding dong. So now when I pull it, the pins do the work, right? It actually holds it. That pin just holds that fold into place. So that's another easy way. If you don't have any fancy gizmos, or you don't have $4.99 to order my little plastic gizmos. These are inexpensive, and there's different sizes, and they come in a little package. But
I like the pins that come with it too.
yeah, the pins are worth the money, because these pins are probably $10 if you just ordered pins, just because of the way it is. So, but there's so many fun things you can do with bias, and I'll see if I can't find those videos, and we'll post some videos for everybody. All right. Anybody have any questions? Questions? The magic of bad video. You've always, thank you. Bonnie's always used the pin trick, right? Joanne says the method is great. Let's bring it. Let's see. Joanne says the method is so great for trimming quilt as you go blocks. Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, Ed put the link in. So today's the last day you can join the Serger box. I don't know when we're going to reopen the club up again. It all comes down to supply and demand, like how much stuff we can get in order to get it shipped out. So we're excited. We added almost 40 new members last time we opened it. So it's amazing. You'll learn everything you know about your serger. I don't care if it's a $200 serger or a $4,000 serger. You're going to learn something. Jim and I kind of co-do that one together. And then we're offering something brand new this year. We are offering a gift subscription for 3 boxes. Ooh. So you can send your friends and family to amysews.com. So 3 boxes is 6 months basically of the membership. Yeah. Right. Because the boxes come every other month.
And that'll be both for the serger and the
both serger and scan and cut. So if you want to try it out to see if you like us or don't like us, there's no long-term commitment no matter what. But it's a great way if you got kids out there that don't know what to buy you, or friends and family.
It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Or buy yourself the gift.
Why not? You're worth it.
You are absolutely worth it. So Ed put some links in there. And what did Joanne say? Can you talk for a minute about your Scan and Cut? So yes, I can talk a minute for Scan and Cut subscription. It's every other month. So the next one goes out is December is the next one. So it's December, February, April. So it's every other month. And you can choose either just the class only, and you get a supply list you can download, or you can get the box and the class with the supplies in it. The majority of the supplies, a lot of times there's no thread in there, right? Because you have thread laying around, and y'all don't change your serger colored thread anyway. So yeah, you can unsubscribe at any time. If you stay 3 boxes, then those classes remain that you can watch anytime you watch. If you opt out of the first box, you've kind of lost everything. And I only do that because administratively, it's just a lot to manage all that. So if you're in for 3 months, you get to keep everything. I don't know how much it is.
I don't either.
I want to say it's $60 or $65 just for the supplies. And then we always put a goodie or something in there. So the next box going out, we're making a scrap pod. And again, I always say it's not about the project, it's about the process. So if you have cover stitching, we touch on cover stitching, chain stitch quilting. If you don't, there's workarounds for everything. So we're going to be.
And what I like what you did with it too is, like, if you don't have cover stitch, you tell ways of how to finish it to get the similar look.
Right, exactly. So we don't want
machine or combination.
Right, we don't want anybody to be left out. And so we're going to do in construction techniques. We're going to be making some tabs. We're going to be working with batting and fabric, and so you get the batting and the fabric. And what is the goodie this month? Oh, it's the self-measuring tape measure, which I don't know where mine went. So God bless Ed. He's back there listening. So he put a link for the subscription box. Anyway, so, and then you can always continue after the subscription box. But the Scan and Cut box is, I will say, is our biggest membership, just because, and we do everything from chipboard to vinyl, to fabric, to leather, cork. We mess up so you don't have to. right? So I'm going to show one of your trees. We're doing something here called Easy Gifts to Make. I know Lori will yell at us. So this is chipboard, and Jim did this in Canvas Workspace. So like to make like waffle board, so you can shape things.
Yeah.
So it can be a project, it can be a utility, it can be, we use our Scan and Cut for everything. And in January, the last week of January, the first week of February, we have a 7-day Scan and Cut cruise, Master Your Scan and Cut. There is one room left that expires today. So nothing like last minute, but it's only $2,400 for 2 people plus the kit fee, but the rooms have doubled since we have booked this cruise for Royal Caribbean. So go to sewandsale.com, reach out to Jamie and snag up that room. If you want to join us, you bring your own Scan and Cut. We provide machines. We're gonna have a good time. So that's where we're at, Joanne.
Nancy has a question.
Nancy has a question. If we have a CM model Scan and Cut, we'll be able to use the project in the box. Yes. All the files are the same. The FCM files are the same. And rarely do we hit a 24-inch mat. There's always a workaround. We never want you to be left out. We'll show your blade and give you recommended cutting for the CM models. And then in the box, or if you download, if you have the class, is a tip sheet, and you write your settings down for what you're doing. So we'll give you a ball place, but the screen on the Scan and Cuts are the same. The Canvas Workspace is the same. So honey, you're not going to miss out on anything. Joanne says, oh, thank you. We are a dynamic duo. I don't know what, we need superhero names or something,
We'll come up with something. And then one thing too, with if you don't have a Scan and Cut, but you have another kind of cutting machine, you can still take the class. It's just that the software would be different. So, but you still may get something out of the
You're still going to get the project because, and we don't really advertise this because there's some powerful. So if you have a Cricut, you have a Silhouette Cameo, you have an Artistic Edge cutter, Caesar now has their own cutters. And I mean, the whole wood singer's coming out with a cutter. Everybody's coming out with a cutter, right? You won't tell me that the Scan and Cut isn't the best cutter out there, but you're still going to get an SVG file. Your Cricut takes an SVG file. Your Silhouette takes an SVG file. So you still get the files that you can do the class with. The Canvas Workspace won't make sense. However, Canvas Workspace is free.
Yeah.
So everybody's welcome to use it. So that's where we're at. Let's see, what's Elaine up to? Been watching Royal Caribbean videos. Oh, honey, I am so excited about this cruise. I can't stand myself.
You're not going to want to come back.
I never want to come back. Oh, thank you, Robin. You like the gadgets. I appreciate that. So we always put something in a box, right? Just a little extra.
Even if it's a candy bar.
It was a candy bar, but it was during that hot streak. Was that August or September? September. It was August. And so not realizing like Texas is 110 degrees and Arizona is 150 degrees. I sent a Godiva chocolate bar. And in Pennsylvania was hot too. So not even ding dong. Thank goodness it didn't leak outside the candy bar, and everybody had to put it in the freezer and have a smushed.
Well, they could just put it in the milk and make chocolate milk.
It was embarrassing.
It was cute.
Amy doesn't think all the way through. So that's kind of where we're at. So anyhow, so bias tape, I will find those videos and then I'll do a Facebook post. I don't know if I want to put them on YouTube, or I don't know where I'm going to put them. But anyhow, I'll find the bias cutting one, and then that project with the bias tape is pretty nice. So it's in the samples somewhere. So anyhow, what does Joanne say? I got my glasses on my head, not my eyeballs.
Cruising and creating.
Yes, cruising and creating. I love the cruise thing. So there's a cruise in January. Today's the last day, unfortunately, to get a room and get on board. Well, to save money, you could still get on board. I think we have 3 spots left. And then May, there's 2 cruises. The first, I think it's the second and third week. Don't quote me on that. We have Juju coming and Becky from Power Tools. And then the second one in May is Jim and I doing stabilizer mastery. Like what stabilizers go with what project goes with what, how do I hoop this? How do I figure this out? So it's not so much about, you're not going to make amazing projects. You're going to make little things that work with that stabilizer. So you can put them in a binder. And then July is Alaska with Reen from Embroidery Garden and Stephanie from Caesar Vinyl. So it's going to be a vinyl Scan and Cut cruise. well, I'm sure we'll throw more things in there because Reen's embroidery and it's all about you having access to myself and Jim, access to Reen and Becky and everybody, and learning to what you need to know. Right, the Scanner Cut Mastery Cruise is going to be great. Nancy's coming from the store. Some of you know Nancy. She's kind of a Canvas workspace guru.
Yeah.
So we're going to touch on everything. So super excited. I think we finally got the cruise formula figured out. And anyway, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, have a terrific day, because the more you know,
The more you sew.
have a great day, everybody.
Bye.